It's time for the Longines Chronoscope, a television journal of the important issues of the hour, brought to you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. A presentation of the Longines Whitnor Watch Company, maker of Longines, the world's most honored watch, and Whitnor, distinguished companion to the world-honored Longines. Good evening, this is Frank Knight. May I introduce our co-editors for this edition of the Longines Chronoscope. From the CBS television news staff, Larry Lasser and Winston Burdett. Our distinguished guest for this evening is the Honorable Lester C. Hunt, United States Senator from Wyoming.
Senator Hunt, about a year ago after the election of President Eisenhower, and at which time he received an overwhelming majority in your home state of Wyoming, you said at that time that you felt he'd received a mandate from the people of your state and you felt under an obligation to support whatever policy he offered. A lot of things have happened since then. Are you still an Eisenhower Democrat?
Well, I must modify the statement you've just made by saying that within the limit of my conscience, I would support the president, and up to date, I have found no reason to change that position.
Well, you're sleeping well at night, then. Well, tell me, as a member of the Armed Services Committee, Senator Hunt, how do you feel about this presidential directive to reduce our forces in Korea by 2 divisions? Do you think that may be endangering our position there?
I believe this, that there should be no man in the United States today better qualified to know whether or not that is the proper thing to do to remove 2 divisions from Korea than the President of the United States. However, you must understand that he's not isn't acting entirely within his own knowledge. He has the advice of professionally trained chiefs of staff, all good men. He no doubt has received from the commanding general in Korea the advice that that is a safe thing to do. And you must remember, too, that he has said this withdrawal will be very gradual. It will take, I believe he said, 2 years probably before it's completed.
Well, Senator, how do you feel about the idea behind our new military policy? That is to say, the idea of a mobile reserve which will allow us, generally speaking, to lessen our ground strength and depend more on our air power.
Well, I think this is the air atomic age, and what we're doing, I believe, the Armed Services Committee is in agreement with it. It's proper at this time to concentrate on air power and to cut down on the number of foot soldiers. I see no reason at all to disagree with the present program.
Well, Senator, I'd like to turn to the domestic situation, if I may. Now, take your situation out in Wyoming. Aren't your stockmen out there screaming over the fall in cattle prices?
Well, I wouldn't exactly say they're screaming, but they're hurt and they're discouraged. And in order to get the same amount of income in '53 that they did in the fall of '54, they have had to ship twice as many cattle, for the price is about half what it was. Yes, they are discouraged. We are of course, hopeful that the price of cattle will come back some. We shipped, as I say, twice as many, and that's practically true throughout the United States. We had a tremendous overpopulation of cattle. We had 93 million. Now, the average in the United States runs someplace around 70 million in a normal year.
Well, Senator Hunt, if you're a cattleman out in Wyoming are suffering from a shortage of folding money, how is it that we people here in the city are paying through the nose, as it were, when we order a good steak?
Well, it's because of the tremendous increase in the cost of every step of a 700-pound steer from a ranch in my county in Wyoming to my table in Washington, D.C. When you trace that animal from the time he leaves that ranch until I utilize it on my table, there are so many different agencies get into the act. It is handled so many times. And transportation rates, as an example, have increased 11 times since the end of World War II. It's just a tremendous increase in the cost of everything along the line. And a recent study that I have made myself proves to me that there is no particular area in the meat processing work that is getting an unconscionable profit.
Oh. Senator, we've had a number of Democrats in this program, like Mike Monroney from a neighboring state, And they have complained about what they call the administration's giveaway policy, and they refer to what they call the giving away of power of Tideland's oil, and so on. Now, you've got a lot of federal land, as I recall, out in Wyoming, and do you go along with this policy of giving away these resources to private industry, private ownership?
No, I don't go along with it at all. I think the administration's making a great mistake in giving up the last very wonderful potential dam site, Hell's Canyon Dam site, on the line between Idaho and Oregon, and allowing private power to go in and build 3 smaller dams. Regardless of Grand Coulee and Bonneville, we have in that western area now something like a 17% deficit in electric energy. I don't go along at all with giving away that dam site. However, you mentioned the tidelands, and I don't consider that the action of the Congress was giving away anything. You must remember that that area we have considered state property for 171 years, and I could go into great detail to tell you about the management of those tidelands by the states, and the various laws that they have passed with reference to fishing, with reference to cropping sponges, with reference to mining sulfur. The states have even made international fishing agreements with Mexico. I don't consider the tidelands a giveaway at all.
Senator, with Congress opening the day after tomorrow, many people are predicting a very hectic session in an election year with bipartisan cooperation very difficult. Do you concur in that forecast?
I don't exactly. We all thought, because of the fact that we were so evenly divided, that the first session of the 81st Congress would be hectic. It wasn't. It proved to be the most peaceful session of Congress, I think, almost in our history. You boys know as well as I do that on several occasions the Democrats stepped right out and bailed the president out. In fact, on 36 critical votes in the Senate, in which the president's prestige was on the line, so to speak, he won in 31. He only lost 5. And of those 31, he needed and he got substantial help in 23 of the votes from Democrats. Now, our leadership, both the majority and the minority, is of a disposition not to make this a hectic political session. And another thing I'd like to call your attention to is the President's relationship with the Congress. Hasn't it been noticeable to you gentlemen that as yet the President has on no occasion criticized the Congress, even when we said no emphatically to him with reference to raising the debt limit? The President did not in any degree, at any time, in any way, criticize us. The President, let me say, is getting along very, very well with the Congress.
Well, Senator, there seems to be a slight split in the between Congress and the President in the case of the right wing of the Republican Party, and I refer to Senator McCarthy and the President over this issue of communists in the government. Now, do you feel that this is going to be the big issue again in the coming November elections?
No, I don't. I think the people are going, and are perhaps now, getting a little tired of dragging across the front pages of the paper the names of those supposedly communists in our government who have been dead for several years. Most of them had gone through hearings of the Un-American Activities Committee in the House, and Dexter White, as you know, appeared before certain of your law bodies here in New York, and nothing was found sufficient to indict him. I don't think that communism is going to be much of an issue in the next election. I've been actively in public life for 22 years, and to the best of my knowledge, I never met a communist.
I know you've been in public life, Senator Hunt. Seems to me that you're practically the only dentist who has ever been a governor of a state. And as a member of that profession in the Senate now, can you tell me how you feel about the different approaches to a national health program?
Well, I feel that our national health program should be primarily that which is instigated and carried on by the Public Health Service of the United States. I feel we should encourage in every possible way prepaid health insurance by private insurance companies. I am opposed to socialized medicine, for from my own profession and from a study of socialized medicine and dentistry in England, I am forced to the conclusion that when you take competition, when you take the incentive out of the practice of medicine and dentistry, when you put, so to speak, a physician or a dentist just as a civil service worker by the clock, you lose that competition, he loses his interest, and the professions will, in their efficiency, lower their standards.
Senator, I'd like to put this other question to you as a member of the Senate Armed Services Committee, looking ahead to the coming year. We're in a period of military retrenchment, and this is going to be a year of decision as far as the European Army goes. We may get it, we may not. What is our military posture in Europe going to be if we do not get the European Army, which we've been trying to?
Well, Mr. Burdett, that's sort of an iffy question and a little hard to answer. I happen to be one who feels we've made tremendous progress along that line in NATO. I am convinced in Europe there is in the stream of public opinion a very strong undercurrent, both in government and in the military of the various countries, to form a united Europe, just as we have a United States. I'm inclined to feel that although on the surface we do see these things happen, like the result of the election in Italy, like some comments in Parliament, the French government, which must be reorganized. We can't have this reorganization of their government every 30 days. But nevertheless, down there's a deep-seated feeling on the part of Europe that they want to form a united Europe, and I believe we're on the way if we have patience. That's all.
Thank you very much, Senator Hunt. It's been a great pleasure to have you here tonight.
The opinions you've heard our speakers express tonight have been entirely their own. The editorial board for this edition of the Longines Chronoscope was Larry Lasser and Winston Burdett. Our distinguished guest was the Honorable Lester C. Hunt, United States Senator from Wyoming. Watchmakers of the old school, such as Longines, pride of workmanship is evident in every detail of every operation. In a watch, in truth, the smallest cog is just as important as the biggest wheel. Pride of workmanship made Longines the world's most honored watch, honored at World's Fairs by 10 grand prizes and 28 gold medals, honored at government observatories with countless prizes and citations for accuracy, honored as official watch by sports and contest associations the world over. Now, for all who have an appreciation of the fine and the beautiful, the pride of workmanship, so evident in every Longines watch, makes an irresistible appeal. Our particular message at this time is an important one. If you wish to buy and own or proudly give just about the finest watch made anywhere in all the world, your choice might well be Longines, the world's most honored watch, priced as low as $71.50. And regardless of the price you pay for your watch, it's made with that pride of workmanship that's made Longines the world's most honored watch, the world's most honored gift. Longines, premier product of the Longines Whitnor Watch Company, since 1866, maker of watches of the highest character. This is Frank Knight reminding you that Longines and Whitnor watches are sold and serviced from coast to coast by more than 4,000 leading jewelers who proudly display this emblem, Agency for Longines Whitnor Watches.
This is the CBS Television Network.
Today better qualified to know whether or not that is the proper thing to do to remove 2 divisions from Korea than the President of the United States. However, you must understand that he's not isn't acting entirely within his own knowledge. He has the advice of professionally trained chiefs of staff, all good men. He no doubt has received
Longines, the world's most honored watch, and Whitnor, distinguished companion to the world-honored Longines. Good evening, this is Frank Knight. May I introduce our co-editors for this edition of the Longines Chronoscope? From the CBS television news staff, Larry Lasser and Winston Burdett. Our distinguished guest for this evening is the Honorable Lester C. Hunt, United States Senator.
That within the limit of my conscience, I would support the president, and up to date, I have found no reason to change that position.
Well, you're sleeping well at night then. Well, tell me, as a member of the Armed Services Committee, Senator Hunt, how do you feel about this presidential directive to reduce our forces in Korea by 2 divisions? Do you think that may be endangering our position there?
I believe this, that there should be no man in the United States
It's time for the Longines Chronoscope, a television journal of the important issues of the hour, brought to you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. A presentation of the Longines Whitnor Watch Company, maker of Senator from Wyoming.
Senator Hunt, about a year ago after the election of President Eisenhower, and at which time he received an overwhelming majority in your home state of Wyoming, you said at that time that you felt he'd received a mandate from the people of your state and you felt under an obligation to support whatever policy he offered. A lot of things have happened since then. Are you still an Eisenhower Democrat?
Well, I must modify the statement you've just made by saying